Welcome to Let's Chat with Homebuyers Centre. Here are some snippets from the episode.
It is a three-step process, really structured, simple: finance, land, and home.
I'll keep a ball underwater for too long. That's
You've
a fun
ever held
quote.
a ball underwater and then
Yeah.
it just hits you in the face?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like what I'm seeing the interest rates kind of happening at this point.
The interest rates of the ball.
As cliche as it sounds, there is never a good or bad time to buy.
I like to say it's a good time when it's a good time for you. Hi, I'm Tash and I'm here with Homebuyers Centre. We're going to demystify the home buying process for you and break it all down. We're going to cover finance, building new, mortgages, and my favourite, investing. In today's episode, we're going to cover where to start with buying a home, building a home. I've got Nunzio with me from Homebuyers Centre.
I'm Nunzio. I'm from Homebuyers Centre. I'm a new homes consultant here, helping customers, whether they're first home buyers, second home buyers, downsizers, investors, understand the process of actually building and buying a home.
Mm-hmm. And have you bought a home or built a home yourself?
Yeah. I've built a couple with home buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lived in one and a few investments.
Amazing. Just to clarify, can you explain a little bit more about Homebuyers Centre and what they actually are?
Homebuyers Centre is Australia's leading builder in finance, land and home. We're really focusing on delivering the dream of home ownership to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The way in which we approach it is finance first, so understanding that from a holistic standpoint, what your borrowing is, how much deposit you'll need, what the repayments are. And then once we have that, we go on to finding land for you across Victoria, wherever you're looking to build, and then building the home for you through Homebuyers Centre and the ABN Group.
What does ABN stand for? Because I hear Australian Business Number.
And you know what? It's a funny thing you say that because it always comes up. It's the actual initials of the original owners.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, but that does come up a fair bit. So we trade across 2 states. And the reason why I emphasize 2 states, most builders will trade across or build across 5. And we only do the 2 because we want to specialize in them as best as possible. So WA is where we're originally from. And then Victoria is where we obviously build as well. And we're still Australia's second largest builder just by those 2. So when you break it down, it's a really mean feat and we're really proud of it. And then in terms of how we follow the process, it is a 3-step process, really structured, simple: finance, land and home.
And when you want to get started with finance, that's when people are talking about getting a mortgage. That's what we mean by finance. Where do you actually start with that? So someone might go online maybe and use a borrowing calculator, is it?
Yeah, a lot of people start there. And I think it's a great place to start, get a really good understanding of what it may look like for you. But it is important to also get a broker or a bank involved to get to the overall approach of actually lending. Because what I find with borrowing calculators, they're great to get you kind of excited and in the mindset of building. But then when you actually need to go get your pre-approval, that's where the online calculator kind of finishes and a broker or a bank will take over.
And what's a pre-approval?
Pre-approval is all the nitty-gritty stuff of your lending all piled into one and packaged up to a bank. So you would have gone through how much your borrowing capacity is based on what you're earning, if there's any debts, savings, all that sort of stuff. And your bank manager or broker will apply it to the bank to review and approve their lending. So basically approving that the bank will give you the money for the purchase of your house and land.
Yeah, amazing. So you know exactly how much you could be borrowing and you can go in with this letter or approval or whatever it is, being like, I can actually borrow $500,000.
Yeah. So we have a lot of customers come in saying, yep, I've got pre-approval and I know my borrowing is X amount. And that helps us as consultants go, okay, cool. Well, this is how we can help. A lot of people though, more than not, come in without speaking to anyone. Really early stages, like I would call it their research phase. They're kind of dipping their toe in the water, getting understanding of how it all works. So a lot of my conversations is really understanding them and their needs and figuring out how I and we as a company can actually help.
So if someone wants to figure out their borrowing capacity, where do they actually go first? How do they start with that?
So Resolve Finance are their own financial entity. However, we have them as our own brokers that specialize in construction lending because it is very different to your traditional lending. So they are purposely there to help understand what we can work with. And then we would obviously work with the customer, understanding their needs and and requirements for the actual build side.
Yeah, and I know banks treat different things very differently as well. I'm self-employed now, and it's crazy to see my borrowing capacity across the different banks and how much it can vary. And it would be dangerous to go to one bank and be like, oh, I can't really borrow that much, when another bank down the road would give me a few $100,000 more.
Yeah.
And it's like the same situation, but crazy how they value it differently.
So basically what the banks look for is three things: how much you're earning, how much deposit you've got, and if there's any debt, what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So your borrowing power will be opened up based on your income. If there's any savings, that obviously is like a timeline barometer, I would normally say. So the banks normally want 20%, but there is a stat out there with one of the major banks that it can take 11 to 12 years to save 20%. So that's why we really encourage to educate yourself in building. And then if there's any debts like defaults or credit cards, personal loans, that then lowers the borrowing capacity. So it's a real juggling approach. And that's why working with a broker is really important, because I find a lot of people, if they've banked with a certain bank for forever, they tend to go to into that bank directly. And look, banks are great. One thing I would say is banks will only share with you their own offers and products. So going to a broker, and a good one at that, will allow you to have access to, over 39, 40 different lenders. And it's their job to curate what is the best package out there based on your particular needs.
How do you find a good broker, and like what are the traits of a good broker? That's really hard to know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the rapport you gain with them straight away is really important, because that person is literally going to be handling your finances. You'd be sharing certain things with that person that your friends or your parents don't even know, right?
But if you've got any like little afterpay or maybe some gambling things in there,
the Uber Eats every day, all that sort of stuff, right? So
the late fees for not paying my fines on time,
yeah. So having trust in them is number one. How they communicate with you, response time, are they humorous, like things like that you value is really important, because you will be working with them a lot. And then obviously their knowledge base based on your particular situation. Are they giving you the right information based on your needs? Are they sharing other things, other tricks, tips that you could kind of get ahead in? That sort of stuff. All obviously above board stuff, but really working for you.
How do you actually know though if they know their stuff though? Like if you're coming into this brand new, how do you know that a mortgage broker knows what they're talking about?
Yeah, look, I would say do your research. A lot of our customers have like one or two goes at brokers, so second opinions. Some have third opinions, but you kind of get a gist if your broker's really working for you based on how attentive they are. Realistically, you should get your rough borrowing back to you in like 24 to 48 hours.
Okay, so pretty speedy.
Yeah. But I do hear out there some brokers are taking weeks. That excitement that you've got and you want to know the information, but then you're waiting for someone else to give you a nod of, yeah, this is what you can do. It kind of really deflates the balloon in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I would gauge it.
So it's good to go and see a few brokers then and see who you like the best.
I think doing your research, there's.
When you say research, what do you mean though?
What's research? So there's nothing
Googling
wrong with going to one broker and going another to see if they align. A lot of brokers get referred through referrals as well. Yeah, so putting trust in if someone's gone through that journey before, and one of our resolve brokers have done their build, they traditionally refer, and that's a huge part of how we continue to build homes for everyday Australians.
Amazing. So Google, read reviews, and ask friends and family if they recommend anyone.
Yeah.
Perfect. Research done. What's actually happening with interest rates and house prices at the moment? Are they still dramatically increasing, or do you think they might stabilize or come down?
We're no economists, and we're not giving financial advice. However, what we're seeing out there is we've just come off 2 years of interest rates just absolutely increasing at a rate that is quite scary to most people. But when you look at it historically, it is pretty average in terms of where it's sitting. What I'd like to think is that we are over that mountain peak of the interest rate increases, and we will start to see that slowly come down. It won't come down as quick as it went up, as you'd probably know. But I do think we're at that point, and we've seen it with the increase with even people investing. I've always said you can't keep a a ball underwater for too long, it will find its way
You
up.
can't keep a ball underwater for too long.
Yeah,
That's
you've
a
ever
fun
held a
quote.
ball underwater and then
Yeah.
like it just like hits you in the face?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like what I'm seeing the interest rates kind of happening at this point.
The interest rates of the ball.
Interest rates are the ball.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're seeing your savvy investor go, okay, this has been down high for this long. At some point, it's going to plateau out. And they're the ones that are starting to get into the market. Once interest rates do start to come in or reduce, I think we need probably one or two. Probably two is a change of direction. And by then, the media will jump on it and all the good news stories will happen and then FOMO starts to happen. And that's where you don't want to be purchasing because it's fast paced, it's crazy.
Not during the FOMO.
Not during the FOMO.
Okay. Is now a bad time to buy or a good time to buy?
As cliche as it sounds, there is never a good or bad time to buy.
I like to say it's a good time when it's a good time for you to buy or build.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you're wanting to get out of renting or home and you desire a home for yourself, or if you're about to get married, like it's all depending on your personal circumstances. And I say to a lot of our customers that are mindful, like for example, investors of it being too inflated or interest rates of where they are. I just asked them to look back at history because if you literally Google property prices in Australia last 100 years, the upward trend is consistent. So yeah, it's really, really good question, but you've said it perfectly in the sense it really depends on your own personal circumstances. If you're planning to be in the home for, you know, on average, people are in it for about 5 years. That home will be very differently priced from where it is now to in 5 years' time. It will be different in a year's time. So yeah, I really kind of break it down with helping them understand that it may seem high now, but when you go to sell or in 5 to 10 years' time, it will be very different again.
Yeah, and it's not always guaranteed to go up, unfortunately. That would be really fun. But if you've managed it well, you've borrowed well within your borrowing capacity and you've built a home that you love for whatever reason, then it's probably a good time for you to buy.
A lot of people feel like it's not possible. You know, they come from all walks of life. They've got all different journeys and they just feel like they're not going to get out of the renting cycle or moving out of home. And we help kind of remove all the obstacles and kind of make it easy to understand. And you can kind of see it in their face, in their eyes when they start to put two and two together and they go, oh, maybe this is possible. If I tweak this and move that and do this, yeah, maybe we can do this.
Yeah, like the media says you can't do it. It's too hard. You need so much money. If you don't have an expert in your family or your friends, it's hard to know like who to go to. So it's great that you've broken it down into finance, land, home. This is the step-by-step process. Come into this lovely display home and we can help you with that. I think that's really fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. We've covered so many great things in this episode today. We now know who Homebuyers Centre is, how you guys can help, the steps involved with buying and building your first home or your investment property as well. And we even touched on markets and interest rates. We've covered so much. Thanks so much for joining me, Nuns.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to coming back soon.
In the next episode, we're going to cover everything you need to know about building new and the process. So join us for that one. This information does not consider your personal needs and financial circumstances, and you should consider whether it is appropriate for you. Lender terms and conditions apply and may vary. All financial services provided by Resolve Financial Solutions Pty Ltd, trading as Resolve Finance, ABN 65079545378, Australian Credit Licence Number 385487.